this import tax is going anywhere. Do you? I mean, I'm hearing increasingly the votes just are not there for it. So then they've got to pay for these tax cuts, presumably. I don't know what they cut, and maybe that's what they're discussing now, but they're running out of options, right?
Yeah, and my guess is you're right. I don't think that tax goes anywhere. I don't know for certain, but that's what it certainly feels like, and my sources have been saying. And my sense is what we'll see is the corporate rate won't fall as much as people hope.
All right. A few minutes ago, Allergan CEO Brent Saunders on this show saying he doesn't see a border tax going anywhere. Of course, this company became famous, of course, for relocating to Ireland. Remember that? And then Pfizer was going to buy the company, also relocate to Ireland. President Obama wanted nothing to do with it. So in the course of that discussion, Mr. Saunders was telling us, upon hearing about these 7 new planets that NASA's founded, that he's going to reincorporate on one of those 7 planets. Gotcha. Thinking about it, though. I can't tell you the number of CEOs, though, who would probably seriously entertain just that. I don't think Robert Wolf would, unless they had a good golf course on one of them, and they might. He's a great golfer and a great friend of those who golf, Republican or Democrat. Former head of UBS Americas, Fox News contributor, Robert Wolf, with us right now. Always good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you.
So you're hearing this collective read, and the Allergan CEO is just the latest to say, we might get the tax cuts, but we're certainly not going to get this import tax.
So you and I have been speaking about this for over 8 years. There will be no broad-based corporate tax reform. I don't think there's going to be.
Really?
There'll be a corporate tax cut. But getting tax reform done is going to be very difficult. And this border adjustment is not happening. Because you and I...
Well, it was weird at the surface, right,
Yeah.
to use a tax hike to pay for a tax cut, right?
Well, especially if it's being passed to consumers. And we're, you know, as far as our GDP, we're still at 70+% consumer driven. Who do you think's buying these things we're importing?
Yeah.
And so I would say, Neil, one, that's not going to be passed, but also the idea that this border adjustment tax could increase the dollar. And that could have a negative benefit on the exporters.
So for the very big multinationals
right.
who you would assume immediately benefit, it's going to zing them.
It could.
Where do you see taxes going, though? We're hearing that the administration is going to cut them appreciably for everybody. Steve Mnuchin laid...
Yeah.
Some people doubting that maybe for the upper income it would be a wash because they'd limit their deductions. I don't know how that would
I think
work
you're
out.
going to struggle with personal tax income, but I think you're going to get what we'll call business tax reform.
And how will that affect Wall Street?
Listen, it's going to be positive. Anytime you get corporate tax reform down, okay, that means more money to invest in R&D.
Would it make these markets more affordable on paper? A lot of people say they're rich by historical standards.
It seems to me that we're a little frothy. I mean, you know, the Trump administration is going through their honeymoon period, but they've done nothing policy-driven yet.
This is a honeymoon?
Well, this is a honeymoon in the sense of 30 days of nothing policy, and you're up 10% on nothing policy-driven. They're going to have to go through Congress, okay, on infrastructure, military spending, tax reform, getting their border security. All those things have to go through legislation. We've not yet put anything through legislation, and we all know getting through things through
even with your own party.
Even with your own party. Listen, you're going to have some deficit hawks that are going to say, wait a second, we're keeping the social net as is. Okay, and we're going to do military spending, infrastructure spending, border security, and all these other spending, and then we're only going to be bet on growth. That listen,
then this rally we've seen since the election. Now, you're a good friend,
yeah.
Barack Obama, golfed with him many times. Is it a continuation of an Obama rally, or is it a Trump rally?
Listen, I would say that it was on the right trajectory. We were up 400% since he's taken office. But there's no question that the business community...
President Obama.
President
right.
Obama. With President Trump, there is a view of deregulation coming fast and furious. The business sector likes that. And now we'll just have to see whether that can get passed or not.
All right. What is President Obama doing these days? Is he back from vacation?
He's back from vacation, a very short one, I may add, but he's...
It was a month.
No, it was a... Come on.
Yeah, right?
It wasn't. He's been back for a while, but he's working on his foundation.
He must have just gotten back.
He's working on his foundation.
He's working on it.
That I'm on the board.
Foundation or the book?
Maybe the book as well, but I know on the foundation.
Do you think we'll hear a lot from him? I mean, the rap against him early on is that he was kind of encouraging the protesters. What kind of role do you think he'll play?
I don't think that's accurate. I know that there's a lot of spin to that, but I think he is going to make sure that the office of the presidency stays the office of the presidency, and there's only one president at a time. That doesn't mean on certain issues he's not going to speak out, like on the DREAMer Act.
Right.
Okay, that's certainly something that I think he will speak out on.
But don't expect him to be like President Bush was for him.
I think he's, like he said, you have to pass the torch, and there's a new president. He's going to respect the presidency. But presidents are still leaders in the country. And
You've golfed with both. Who's a better golfer?
Well, Trump has a better handicap, and they're both much better than me.
Okay. All right. Fair and balanced. Robert Wilt, former UBS America's chairman, respected by both sides, which should make you suspicious of it. But for those of you advocating that he should take up occupancy of one of these new 7 planets they've discovered, that's a little tacky, folks. I want you to behave.